whatever version of this opening pose is going to be the most comfortable for you. So knees bent, legs long, no right or wrong. And as you usually do when you arrive on your mat, just take those first few moments to notice how you're feeling emotionally, how you're feeling physically. And as you move through that physical check-in today, maybe taking particular note of the areas of the body that are making connection with your mat. So that connection back in the skull, down through the shoulders, and the arms. Noticing those areas that make connection on the back body. Back of the torso. And down through to the hips. Feeling the backs of the thighs and the calves. And whichever part of your feet are making that connection as well, just noticing where you feel that groundedness, that sense of really rooting yourself to the mat, and in turn rooting ourselves down to the earth. If you find your mind wandering or speaking to you a little bit louder tonight, something I like to try is putting the palms of my hands down onto the mat. Just gives you maybe a bit more of a sense of connection with that earth. If that's something that maybe you're looking for or struggling to find. Knowing that you are here and that you have arrived just as you are. We all come through so many different things in our day and our lives that really bring us here, that draw us here together. And as you have acknowledged that tonight, acknowledged what you moved through in your day, in your life to arrive here this evening, maybe inviting yourself to put that aside. Maybe even visualizing, physically wrapping up whatever it is that you may be holding on to, a memory, a thought from the day, and just setting it at the door. Sometimes that physical visualization of placing it aside can really help us to move forward and be in the present moment as much as possible. And the beauty of that setting aside is that you can always pick it up on the way out if you feel that you need to. And if you don't, it's found its new home right there. you wish to set an intention for your practice, or if you have a mantra saying that maybe you often use yourself, feel free to set that or repeat it to yourself now. And if not, you are welcome to just invite yourself to try and be as present as possible during your practice. And then once you're ready, you can begin to draw some gentle movement back into the body, however feels natural to you. So maybe it's through fingers and toes first, and then slowly allowing that movement to creep up to the wrists and the ankles. Maybe it starts to come up into the knees or maybe into the arms even with a full body stretch, but there's no rush to get there. Take whatever time that you need. Once you begin to feel ready, you can start to plant those feet down into the mat, knees towards the sky. You're welcome to draw those knees a little bit wider, so allow the feet to come to the long edges of your mat. You can create lots of space with those arms, maybe drawing the arms out to the side, again, palms up or palms down. And then from here, let's begin to draw a little bit of awareness in through that pelvis. So beginning to rock that pelvis forwards and backwards. So moving through those anterior and posterior pelvic tones. So as you tip that pelvis back, it's when you're pushing that low back into the mat. And then forward, you find that low back and gentle arch just coming off of the mat. Position of our pelvis is so important as we move through our poses. So taking this time to just be a little bit more aware at the beginning of practice is a really wonderful piece to help with that awareness. And then from there, try to find a neutral pelvis. So whatever that is for you. So finding that spot in between that tilt and that pushing back of the pelvis. And then from here, we'll come into some windshield wipers with the knees. So allowing the knees to fall from one side to the other. Choosing whatever will work for you. The wider the knees, you might find a little bit more availability to come closer towards the mat. So if you want, you can draw the feet closer together. And then if you're ready for that neck to join in, you can allow the head to fall the opposite way of the knees. Just starting to get a little bit of movement in through the neck. then the next time the knees come over to the right, allow them to stay there. You can draw that gaze towards the left. And maybe take the elbows into a bend, coming into your cactus arms. A few full breaths here as you feel length through the left side body. Slowly begin to draw that gaze back up to the center. And we're going to come to lie all the way on our right side. So that right arm can be underneath that right ear. So the right arm is at 12 o'clock. And then you can take that left hand and draw it to 12 o'clock as well. We're going to move through some shoulder circles to awaken through those shoulders. So taking that left arm, you can begin to circle clockwise, so drawing it behind you. And if you like as well, you can even come onto that left shoulder blade. So as you open, you might find a little bit more availability down towards the mat, towards the ground. And as you circle it around, maybe coming off of that left shoulder back onto the side body. Or if you want a little bit less, you're welcome to just stay with that right arm firmly down underneath you and just move from the shoulder. As always, if there's a spot that feels really great, feel free to stay there, but if there's a spot that's kind of speaking loudly or maybe a little bit, I don't think frustrating is a word, but needs you to be there, feel free to stay. And the next time you come to the center, just take a moment and reset at 12 o'clock, and then begin those circles in the opposite direction. Let's do one more full rotation on this side. And then we'll come back to 12 o'clock. And we're going to draw ourselves back onto our spine. We're going to leave those knees planted down onto the mat, but leave those arms reaching behind you towards the back of the room. You can even interlace the fingers, point the index finger towards the back of the room. Actively feel like as if someone was gently pulling that fingertip back. So you continue to feel that stretch. Maybe you even feel that gentle arch into the low back, like we did when we started to move through those pelvic toes. Good, take a full breath in, reach back just a little bit more. And then exhale, release, and soften everything down into the mat. Let's come on to the opposite side. So we'll reverse it. We'll come all the way onto the left side. We'll come back into that supine twist in a moment. So all the way to the left side, both arms at 12 o'clock. And then when you're ready, you can begin with those clockwise rotations. So that right arm is getting the chance this time, that right shoulder. And then as you come through center, changing direction as you arrive there, take your time. And then moving through that last rotation on this side. We'll meet back at 12 o'clock. And then we're going to slowly begin to roll back onto the back body. knees towards the sky. You can have the arms out to the side here. And then let's allow the knees to fall all the way to the left side. We'll come into the supine twist on that side. So gaze can come to the right. Taking those full breaths in as you allow that length to come to the opposite side. Allow yourself one more full breath, nice and full through the belly. And then exhaling through the nose. Gently begin to draw that gaze back up to the center. Draw the knees with it. Take a moment here again to reach the arms behind you, interlacing the fingers, pointing that index finger towards the sky, and actively reaching back. This time, send the legs long, creating that full body stretch. So those toes point towards the front of the room, and that index finger reaches towards the back of the room. So you're creating that arch, lifting that low back gently off of the mat, taking a full breath in, feel that stretch and length. And then exhale, relax. From here, we're going to begin to come onto one side. And we'll make our way into our tabletop position. So take your time to make your way there. I'm tripping over my words today, I'm sorry. I'm used to talking underneath a mask. It's strange to be able to articulate myself so well, actually. So once you're in your tabletop, find those sways from side to side just to find that stability beneath the hands and the knees. Let's move through some of our cat-cows, my favorite. So we'll drop the belly, lift the chest, draw that gaze forward. And then on your exhale, tuck the chin towards the chest, push the mat away and find that grounding. We're all familiar with these postures, so start to move through them freely at your own pace, maybe even closing the eyes. Adding in whatever little movements are going to be beneficial for you and your body. So maybe tucking in and tucking the toes, working in through the soles of the feet. Maybe some side to side sways, some figure eights. Whatever it is your body. Let's move through one more of each. We will be back in our tabletop when you're ready. And then from here, we'll take that right foot back. So tucking those right toes, that left knee is going to stay planted. We're going to pivot on the left sole of the foot. So we're kickstanding that left sole of the foot, extending that right leg long up to the side. So we're coming onto the side of our mat. That left arm is going to stay planted. Yeah, beautiful. And then we're going to reach those right fingertips up towards the sky. Beautiful. Take a moment here. You can roll through that right wrist. Maybe touch each fingertip to the thumb. Give your fingers a little wiggle. And then start to extend those right fingertips towards the front of your mat. So you're really reaching actively. Just checking in, you're really opening up through that right side. Try not to dump through that right shoulder. Create that opening instead of that rounding. Beautiful. And then reach those right fingertips back up. Good. Continue with that movement a few more times. So reaching those fingertips forward and then back up. All the while, maintain that stability through the low body. And from here, maybe even checking in with that position of the pelvis. Do you feel like that pelvis might be tipped forwards or backwards? And you try to find that neutral in between. And the next time those fingertips find the ceiling, allow them to stay. And on your exhale, sweep and circle those right fingertips back down beside the left. Pivot yourself back towards the front. You can draw that right knee in beside the left and come into your child's pose, sending those hips back, reaching those arms forward. Knees can be close together, or maybe you take a bit of a wider stance. Yogi's choice here. Maybe you find some stillness, or maybe you find some sway, some movement in your child. Movement can come through rocking of the forehead, swaying of the arms, even a gentle sway of the hips from side to side. And then from here, let's plant those fingertips down nice and firmly into the mat. And we'll take a roll back up to our tabletop. So rolling yourself back out. Nice and slow. And let's set ourselves up for the opposite side. So we're going to send those left toes back. And we're kickstanding with the right foot. So that right foot comes out to the side. Good. We're planting that right arm, lifting the left arm. Find that rotation through the wrists, the opening, spreading of the fingers. And let's move into that arm flow. So we reach those left fingertips forward, create that length through the left side. Again, keeping that left side of the chest nice and open. And then reaching those fingertips back up. And moving nice and slowly and mindfully. And then noticing that stability in the pelvis and the low body. Good. We'll meet back with those left fingertips up to the sky as you're ready on your next round. Good. We'll circle the left fingertips down to meet the right. Draw ourselves back to the center. And yogi's choice here, you can come into your child, or if you'd like a downward facing dog, you can walk those hands out forward and send those hips up and back. So down dog or child are two beautiful options here. You can also stay in that tabletop if you prefer. Maybe if you're in child, you're finding those movements, or maybe in down dog, you're finding similar movements, like pedaling out through the feet, shaking the head no and yes. Wherever you found yourself, we're going to slowly begin to make our way up into our forward folds. So if you're in down dog, taking some steps up to the top of your mat. If you're in your child, you can step one foot forward and then the other. And find your way into a comfortable, gentle forward fold. So find a nice bend into the knees, maybe opposite hands, opposite elbows as you find this way. As you come back to the center, let's take a nice slow, gentle roll up to standing. Move nice and slow, articulate, and move each vertebrae one at a time. And then as you arrive up to the center, take a beautiful inhale, reach, lift those arms up. And then exhale, draw them down to your heart center. Let's take a moment in our Tadasana to reset. Maybe closing the eyes, maybe gaze downwards. From hands at heart center, let's draw the hands down to the side. We'll move for a little bit of work through the neck. So we'll draw the right ear towards the right shoulder. Find that length through the left side. You can also play with the gaze. Maybe you want to draw the gaze towards the shoulder. Maybe that gaze stays in front. Just noticing how the angle can change where you feel the stretch. Slowly draw your gaze back to center. Let's switch sides. Left ear comes down. And then play a little bit with that angle. Find that spot that needs your attention. Let's gently draw that gaze back up to the center. And then we'll begin to tuck the chin towards the chest. You can take the hands if you wish. Interlace the fingers behind the head. Gently, very gently, just adding a little bit of extra weight to the head. Very gently. We don't want to be pushing or pulling. Just that little bit of extra resistance. Then from here, we're going to make a slow roll down. So our chin is already tucked. We're going to roll from the top down. So that chin is tucked. We're going to slowly start to roll in through that upper back. So round that upper back. Then slowly begin to roll down through that mid back to the low back. And nice and slow, those hands can stay where they are. And then once you come to the knees, you can begin to gently bend. And then those hands can hang if you wish, or your arms can stay behind the head. Back in that forward fold. Beautiful. From our forward fold, we're going to plant those hands down as best we can, and then we're going to step that left foot back. We're going to come into a lunge. And then once you've found that stability beneath the feet, you can start to just nice and gently roll yourself up. Set yourself up into that lunge. So lunge is kind of like a go to whatever party you want to go to kind of deal. You can have your back knee a little bit lower down, which gives you a little bit more work through the back leg. Or if you want a little bit less, you can draw that back foot in a little bit closer. So kind of like pick your adventure. I feel like I say that a lot, but that's a great analogy for those books. Anyone knows what those books are. Pick your adventure books. So once you're there, that also been distracted me because I've been in this lunge actually quite a little bit of time. So once you found your lunge, take a nice inhale to reach up, and we're going to interlace the fingers, pointing index finger up. So we're familiar with this now. And I want you to check in here first with the position of your pelvis. So do you find that your pelvis is tipping forward? Is it tipping back? Or are you in that neutral? So you want to strive for that neutral, maybe slightly tipping a little bit more back, because you want to keep that core nice and strong and engaged. And then start to really reach through that fingertip. Reach up to the index finger. And then exhale, we're going to open those arms. Nice. Exhale to open. Beautiful. And then we're going to circle the arms down in front, and we're going to come back into that again. Inhale, reach up, open. Good. Exhale. Come back into that Kali Mudra. From Kali Mudra, we're going to send the arms out in front of us, almost like we're holding a block or a ball. That left arm is going to stay there, and we're just going to start to play with peeling that right arm back into boomerang. And then forward again to meet the left. Doesn't need to go all the way, we're just playing and seeing how it feels. That gaze can come along or it can stay at the front. We'll do one more. And let's move both of those arms back towards the front of the mat. We'll exhale and lower the arms down, planting each foot. And then let's set that back foot up to meet its partner. We're back into that forward fold. Maybe pedaling, bending one knee then the other if that feels nice. And you can have opposite hands, opposite elbows, or maybe you want a little bit more opening through the chest. Maybe you interlace the fingers behind you. You can lift the fingertips off of the mat, off of off your back, sorry, or you can have your fingertips rest onto your back. Beautiful. Gently lowering those fingertips back to make connection with the low back. We'll roll ourselves up from here, so we'll leave the hands behind us. Roll ourselves up nice and slow. As that gaze comes forward, come into a gentle back bend. So open up through that chest and gently push those hips forward. And then on your exhale, draw those arms down to the side. Take a moment in your Tadasana, soften through those shoulders. Come to a little bit more of that work for the neck. So move a little bit more purposefully. I don't want to say quickly. It will be a little bit faster, but we still want to be mindful of how our neck's feeling. So let's draw that right ear towards the right shoulder. And then from here, draw that chin towards the chest, pulling it around to the opposite, so left ear, left shoulder. Okay, continue with that half circle. And if that feels okay for you and you want to make it a full circle by sending that head back, the chin forward, you're welcome to come into a full rotation if that feels okay for you. Let's move back at center as you're ready. And then from center, we'll tuck that chin towards the chest again. Then interlacing those fingertips behind, elbows up to the side, and we'll come into that roll down. So we'll roll the upper back first. Mid back, and then allowing that low back to begin to gently round forward. Maybe finding a bit more of a bend coming into the knees, nice and slow. And you can release through those fingertips. From here, we'll plant the hands, and then we'll step that opposite foot back. So that right foot's going to come back as you set yourself up into that lunge. And slowly coming back up to the center as you're ready. So check in, figuring out where you want to have that work today. And then as you're ready, we'll take a nice inhale, reach up, interlace the fingers, reach that index finger up. Beautiful. Really reaching, creating that length. Beautiful. And then we'll come down to the side. Take a moment here, drawing it down. And then we'll come back through, reaching, lifting up. Then take a full breath in here, inhale. Exhale, lower yourself. Beautiful. And then nice and slow, draw those hands forward, lovely. Right hand's gonna stay, and that left hand is gonna start to play coming into that boomerang. So both of our hips are still facing forward. We're keeping that stability through the low body, so engagement through those glutes. And we're just noticing how that left shoulder is feeling. It should feel fairly warm. We're did a lot of work through the shoulders tonight, but just be mindful. Noticing if your shoulders have crept up towards the ears, reminding them to soften down. And then let's move through one more. Good, beautiful. Reaching those fingertips forward. Awesome, lowering them down. We're gonna plant those hands and set that left foot back, come back into your down dog or to your child's or your tabletop. And find movement or stillness, whichever you prefer. From here, we'll all lower down onto our knees. So we're back into that tabletop position. Taking a moment here to set yourself up. And then we're going to come into our boomerang, but we're going to come with the knees down. So I'll give you a couple options here. So we're going to start with stepping that right foot forward up in between the hands. That left knee can stay down, or you can come up into a full lunge if you prefer. Completely up to you. So with that right knee forward, we're going to come into that boomerang. So familiar pose, we're reaching those fingertips forward. And then we're sending that right arm back. So you're welcome to move through a few flows just to keep that shoulder nice and warm. And then once you feel like you're ready, you can commit to whatever version of boomerang you found yourself in tonight. So maybe that gaze is coming towards the right fingertips. Maybe the gaze is staying forward. So once you're here, you should feel a little bit of activation through that left side as well. So work through that left hip flexor. Those left toes can be tucked or untucked. If you have them tucked, you might feel a little bit more of a stretch through that left side. And let's hold our boomerang for 3 breaths. Beautiful. Taking that nice final round of breath on the side, nice and gentle. And then as you're ready, you can draw those right fingertips back towards the left. I will come into a bit of a counter stretch. So just take those left fingertips, gently come into the opposite side. So we're opening up towards the left side, not for long. Good. And let's draw both of those arms back through the center. Lower the hands down either side of that right foot. You can begin to find some bend and some length into that right knee. Always knowing you can roll up your mat and find a bit more cushion underneath the left knee. Doing your best to always have a view of those right toes. So try not to extend that knee too far forward so you can't see your toes any longer. Good. Let's come back to that neutral position that we call knee over top ankle. We'll plant those hands and that right knee back. And coming into your downward facing dog or your table or your child. And then from here, we'll lower those knees back down if you were in down dog, and we'll come on to the opposite side. Take your time, no rush. And when you're ready, we'll step that left foot up and through in between the hands. So set yourself up here, tucking those back toes if you wish, and setting yourself up into that low lunge for your boomerang. Reaching those fingers forward, find that stability, awesome. And then we'll start with those left fingertips coming back. Again, you can take a few rounds to remind that shoulder of this movement. And then when you're ready to commit, you come into that boomerang and take that nice hold for 3 breaths. And again, find that stability through the low body, through that pelvis. You gently drawing that navel in, find that engagement. Ooh, it's a big one for the shoulders. I find now that I'm driving so much more to work, definitely feel these a lot more than I did in the summer. Good, taking that final full breath. And then after that exhale, circling those left fingertips back around. Beautiful, drawing those hands. Oh yes, counter stretch. Tony, thank you. And reaching those right fingertips back. Awesome, coming into a counter stretch. You switched spots with me, Tony. So good, thank you. And then we'll come out of that, reaching those fingertips forward and lowering the hands down, bring that front foot. And then we'll come into that bend and extension through the left knee. Always nice. Whenever I'm doing classes online, I never know because no one can ever tell me if I forget something. I just forget at the very end when everyone's in Shavasana. I'm like, oh, it's too late now. And then once you're ready, we'll come back to that neutral. So knee over top of ankle, plant the hands, and then find that child's table or down dog. Beautiful. And then as you are ready, we'll all come to meet in our child's pose. From our child, we'll take that right arm up towards the sky and weave the right arm underneath the left so that we're coming on to that right shoulder, onto the right temple. That gaze can come underneath the left. A little bit of a release to the back of the shoulder. If you wish, you can take that left hand and maybe bend through the left elbow, drawing the left hand towards the low back. If you had that left elbow bent, you can draw those left fingertips back towards the front of the room. Using that left hand to help you unravel that right arm, coming back to your child. Taking a moment here to center. And then as you're ready, you can begin to thread the needle on the opposite side. So sending the left underneath the right. Coming on to that left side of the face. And then bending into that right elbow if you wish, drawing the right hand towards the small of that. Gently beginning to draw everything back to the center. So unweaving that left side. Move back to your child. And from here, we'll take a nice slow walk, drawing those fingertips up towards the knees. Then when we get there, we will come on to our bums and make our way onto our backs. So I challenge you here to, as you come to lie on your back, try to do so as slowly as you possibly can. You're going to want to have that nice engagement through the coral, that work through the pelvis that we practice. You can draw those knees in nice and close. You can even come into a little bit of a roll. So you have that chin tucked towards the chest, the forehead's drawing towards the knees. And then nice and slow, you're gonna start with that tailbone. So you're gonna slowly roll yourself down to leave the feet planted. So slowly rolling yourself down, allowing that low back to be the first thing that makes that connection after the tailbone. And then coming through to that mid back and the upper back, nice and slow, you got it, leave that chin tucked. Beautiful. And then once you arrive down there, you can allow those shoulder blades to soften. The arms can come out to the side and you can extend through those legs. Maybe taking a nice full body stretch, pointing and flexing your feet, ankles. Let's come into a gentle cobbler. We didn't do too much work through the hips tonight. So drawing the soles of the feet together, the knees out towards the long edges of your mat. Maybe having the heels a little bit further away from the body than you may normally, or maybe closer if that feels okay for you as well. Those hands can rest onto the hips or onto the earth beside you, and just take a few full breaths. And if you're ready, you can slowly begin to draw the knees towards one another. From here, taking any final poses that your body is asking for, maybe coming into a gentle bridge, maybe another full body stretch, a happy baby. Whatever final bits of movement your body is looking for, whatever it's telling you intuitively to do with your movement. And as you feel ready, you can start to come into your sweet Shavasana, whatever that is going to look like for you this evening. And once you arrive here, I invite you to, again, like we did at the beginning of our class, to notice those different areas that are making connection with your mat. And from here, you're going even maybe asking yourself, which areas of my body do I feel really truly connect with the earth and help me feel that sense of presence? For some of us, it may be our hips. Others may be the shoulders, maybe the back of the head or the feet. Wherever you feel that sense of grounding, that root to the earth beneath you. And allowing yourself to really be present with all of those sensations. Knowing that you are grounded and connected. And this time to be still is exactly where you need to be. Begin to allow some movement to come back into the body. Taking your time to begin to awaken yourself back here. And slowly begin to make your way onto one side body. whichever side you choose. Pulling yourself up into a nice little wall, running those knees in towards the chest. Just feeling that sense of comfort, that sense of ease. And that sense of gratitude for your practice. Another beautiful opportunity here to repeat your intention or your mantra to yourself. If you set one at the beginning of class. Slowly you can start to draw yourself up to seated, nice and slow, take your time. Once you arrive there, you're welcome to leave the eyes closed or have your gaze gently downward. You're welcome to join me by drawing your hands in towards heart center. Thank you for taking the time today for yourselves, for grounding yourself to your practice, and for making it such a priority. It's easy to move through your day, move through life, and to kind of just let things like this go. So thank you, and thank yourself for making it a priority. I'm so grateful to practice with all of you. It was 100% the highlight of my week. So thank you so much for being a part of it. I wish you a wonderful weekend and rest of your evening. From my light to yours. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. It was great Tuesday and carried over, wasn't it? I mean, it was cute. But like, I can do a flip. I'm like, no. I was like, no, please don't do that. I could put my leg up here. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. I'm sure you're done here at all.
Yeah. I know. I do love the age though. It's a good age. It's a good age. So different. Very different.